Traveling to Consciousness, exploring spiritual journeys to find answers in uncertainty.
What is up, conscious monkeys? Welcome back to another episode of Traveling to Consciousness. As always, I'm your host, Clayton Guteri, and today we are going to talk about again the quote-unquote drones, because even more footage is coming out, more videos, more pictures. I'm going to link some of them down below, and it could be good to just, if you're in a position, if you're driving, please do not click on the videos, but I'll go through each video and describe to you what is in the video so that you can hear it for yourself. It's very wild. It's very wild indeed, some of these videos that are coming out, and the sheer volume of the videos makes it even more interesting, makes it less likely, in my opinion, that these are being fake, that they're being faked. So we're going to dive into that, and then we're also going to talk about our update on the TikTok ban bill, which has made its way to the Supreme Court. In case you have not been paying attention, the TikTok bill has made its way to the Supreme Court, and I'll give you my high-level overview, which is that this is a power grab by our government. It will give the ability to our government, it will give the ability to the president specifically to ban any sort of privatized application that they desire. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, how is this possible? How is that possible? I do go very, very in depth on it in episode 250 of this podcast. I went down the whole thing. You can search TikTok ban bill in the episodes in the podcast, and I tell you exactly why the president will have full control over banning essentially any sort of private company that they desire and force them to sell it off. It's not good. It's really not a good thing. And it's made its way to the Supreme Court. Hopefully they will rule that it is unconstitutional, because a lot of it screams to me that it should be unconstitutional. There should definitely be a conversation about where the data is stored. If that's getting shipped overseas, that's a whole nother question. But it seems to me that it's staying in America, but I don't have all the forensic evidence of that, so we'd have to dive into that, and that's a whole nother thing that I do not have classification or access to. So just wanted to let you guys know, as like a little update. But let's get back to the drones, because this is where it's starting to get very interesting, where there are videos coming out that indicate to me that we are no longer just talking about drones. There are high resolution photos of these unidentified aerial phenomenon of essentially them being orbs. The very first one that I'm going to post down below is of an orb, of what these high photo, it literally just looks like an orb. Okay, so I'm watching the video now, and it's just a silver circle, but it has kind of like this effect as if it's like water. Like, you know that shimmer you see on the bottom of a pool? That's kind of what it looks like on top of this orb. So maybe we're looking at some sort of light phenomenon where the sun is somehow refracting off of the earth or the ionosphere and creating this. Maybe. Where it gets interesting as this video moves on, and this will be the first video linked below, is they start showing a video. Let me wait till I get to it, but a video of essentially a sphere within a sphere. And what it looks like is one sphere with lights that stay stagnant, but then there's another circular sphere of lights rotating around it. And this is no technology this is not a drone, okay? Assuming that this is an authentic video, this is not a drone, okay? Drones look like miniature airplanes, and they fly much higher. So I do not know that our government has this technology. Maybe they do. I know there's something called Project Bluebeam, where they're going to fake an alien invasion, and they've started laying the groundwork. They started laying the groundwork for that actually a couple of years ago. But so we'll see. So I always want to keep our eye on that. where they'd fake an alien invasion essentially to take more of our rights away, create another war with an extraterrestrial species, which, my gosh, if they have this type of technology, anything we do to them is not going to do anything. So if that's the case, but my point being is that maybe this is our government and what's called Project Bluebeam. I don't think it is. There's something about it that tells me that this is not that, but we'll see. We don't have any government officials coming out and saying directly what's happening. And, you know, they know. See, that's the thing, is that they know, and they should just tell us. They absolutely should, but I don't think we're going to get any disclosure from them until, you know, it's too obvious. And at this point, it's like borderline getting more and more obvious. But getting back to this specific video with this circle in a circle, is that it's actually something that was kind of seen in the Bible. And it's such a wild video that I hope you guys are able to look at it. And this guy does a good job. But there are biblical, essentially, like these drawings of what Ezekiel describes of as like circles within circles. Which means that these technologies, this energy pattern, this phenomena, would have been around thousands and thousands of years ago. So, again, I don't want to jump into anything specifically, but would it be a foreign contact, a foreign entity that left our planet and now is coming back to check up on us, let's say? Maybe, again, maybe it is just a thing that the universe creates in the sky to convince our eyes of something else. I'm just trying to play all the sides of this, guys. I don't know what the answer is. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just putting out the possibilities here. I have my opinions. I think I've given those quite a few times, but I have my opinions. And then we get into the next video, which talks about plasmoids and plasma. And it shows more images of different plasma objects, like circular plasmoids or plasmodials. And they even have a guy, and I don't know his credentials, but he talks about how they are what he calls a plasmasphere. So they're like, not only are they like look like these reflections that you would see on the bottom of a water, but they also are changing colors, like all over the color spectrum. We're talking about blue, we're talking about orange, we're talking about red, all of them. And so this guy put together in this video like a collection of people talking about plasmoids and plasma. And they're hinting essentially that this is how we're able to kind of like bridge the gap of like space travel. And honestly, it seems a little far out to me. So I'm not going to jump in on that and be like, yeah, definitely. I do think that we're getting close to understanding physics enough where it could be possible. That's a whole nother rabbit hole of me. I've been doing a lot of research into the theory of relativity, of wormholes, of space-time. And I do think we're also on the brink. I know I'm getting crazy here, but on the brink of understanding how to create wormholes to travel to the separate galaxies. But that's just the way I see the direction of the science going. It's kind of like unrelated to this, but it's related in a sense that they're saying that these are the objects that would be able to do that. So they could be completely unrelated, and maybe the brain likes to connect the brain definitely likes to connect two different items into the same thing to make things make sense. And I definitely want to bring that out here, that like there's a lot about this that does not make sense. And so then the brain tries to find a way to put things in a certain bucket or connect dots where there might not be dots to connect. So I think that's important to bring up in these situations. Now, the last one is kind of where it gets a little trippy. All right. So this lady is looking at one of these plasmoids, and it's not letting me open the video, but I remember it very detailed, where it's just like a yellow sphere, and it looks like it has those ripples that you would see like on the bottom of the water, and it's like very still. And she's looking at it, and she's like starts trying to talk to it. And at first you kind of think this lady's crazy, because she's like, "Can you hear me? Can you hear me?" And she's videotaping it. And then she says, "Jesus loves me." And it starts to wiggle. Like it starts to vibrate. And she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, Jesus is God, right? Jesus is king. And it starts to ripple and vibrate even more dramatically. So I don't know what that means. I don't. But I do know that that indicates some level of intelligence. That indicates some level of awareness that these plasmoids, that these circles have. It's just absolutely a crazy time to be alive. You know, whether or not this is all AI generated, I don't know. I think the vast number of sightings coming out is insane. You know, they're popping up. I've seen a video already. There was a video I just saw in Russia of these lights, you know, these lights going from up in the sky and dropping straight into the water, like a little river. And people are filming. They're like, what the heck is going on? So I don't know. The honest answer is I don't know. I don't have the answers. I think what we do need to be very aware of is in times like these, whenever there is uncertainty and the government isn't giving us information, is that we absolutely need to be aware of them taking away our rights in the name of safety. Because we have seen that time and time again. So we as a country need to fight back, essentially, against our government if they so choose to use this incident to strip us of rights. We have to prevent that. We have to prevent them taking away more rights because of these aerial phenomenons, these drones, these lights, whatever it is. I don't know how they'll do it, but the first step in any of it is to create fear. That's what they did with 9/11. They created fear, took away your rights. That's what they did with COVID. They created fear. They took away your rights. So we can't let this drone situation be another excuse for the government to take away our God-given rights. The rights instilled by us, by nature herself. We cannot allow for them to take those away from us. Even if we're scared, especially when we're scared. That is not the time to give up more of our individuality and uniqueness and freedom to the government. That is the worst time to give it up to the government. So we have to prevent that. We have to be aware of when these things are occurring and when they're using them as a way to put us in those states of fear. And maybe that's why they're not saying anything, is that they want to create fear. But I have a belief in this process that I think at the end of the day, the truth is going to come out. Well, the truth will come out. And we'll let the chips lie where they lie. But I just want you to be calm. The fact that you're listening to this podcast means that you're already a heightened and aware individual. So just remember to be calm especially whenever other people are afraid. Because when you're afraid, it's when you make mistakes. And, you know, talking about how the government could use this as a way to take away our rights, there's a couple things you could do. Number one, you could, petition or write or call into your representatives or your senator for them to release information about what's going on. Because they know, of course they know. Whether it's aliens, whether it's them, whether it's a foreign adversary, whatever it is, they know. And yet they're choosing to say nothing. They know. So number one, you could write to them. Number two, you could get involved with the American Congress Party. You could join us because, I'm just going to, I'll just say it. American Congress Party is going to be the party of the future. Because it is the party that cares about the people. That cares about your knowledge, your sanctity, your effort, your ability, your right to preserve and protect life. To live a helpful life, to live a fruitful life. The Democrats and Republicans don't care about that. And I know that's a wide sweeping generalization, but at a general level, they don't care. Otherwise, we would have more of them demanding knowledge being released, or the ability to release the knowledge. And I don't see it. I don't see it whatsoever. They'd rather talk about foreign wars and other stuff. But this, if we're on the brink of a meeting in another species, intergalactic species, that would be something that should be released yesterday. So join the American Congress Party. Shoot me an email. Get involved. Support the channel. Get this message out to more people. This is how you can make a difference. That's going to happen regardless, but let's make it happen quicker so we can enjoy freedom longer while we're here on this planet. So if you don't share this podcast, if you don't join the American Congress Party, if you don't want freedom, then we're going to have a little chat about it whenever I see you in the 6th dimension.